Okay, this is a lesson on absolute value equations. So in ALEKS, these are problem types 2 through 4. First, we'll start off with the easiest one here. So, first thing we should know about absolute value equations is we always have to get the absolute value on its own first. That's always the first thing we need to do. Okay, so that means the first thing here is we need to subtract the 7 to the other side. So subtract 7 from both sides, and we have the absolute value of x is equal to 17 minus 7 is 10. Now here we need to think about what an absolute value is. Okay, so an absolute value is talking about the distance of a number from 0. Okay, so it's not necessarily saying positive, negative, or anything, it's just a distance, which is always a positive number. Okay, so, however though, if we plug in a negative number in here, right, well, the distance it has from 0 is just the number itself without the sign, so that's why it turns positive again. However, right, if we have it equal to a negative number, that's never going to happen. An absolute value should always equal a positive number. Okay, so at this point in any problem, if we have absolute value of something equals a negative number, bad. That equation has no solution because that just can't happen. So at this point, now we would say, okay, what types of things could give us 10 if we took the absolute value of them? Well, we kind of have the positive version and the negative version of things. So from here, we drop the absolute value and we set it equal to the positive, and then we say it's also equal to the negative version of the other side. Always put the plus minus on the other side, not on the things inside the absolute value. So now, for this problem, this is our answer. X could be equal to 10 or negative 10. If we go back to our original problem, we'll see that both of those work, because if we plug in 10, absolute value of it is 10, plus 7 is 17. We plug in negative 10, absolute value of a negative number is the positive, so it's 10 plus 7 is 17. So it works for both values. You should always check that both of them work, because sometimes you only have one solution, not both. So sometimes one of them will not work occasionally. All right, so that's that problem. Next problem type is this one here. Now we already have the absolute value on its own. We notice, oh, it's equal to a negative number. What did we just say on the last one? If it equals a negative number, that's bad, right? That can't happen. When we take the absolute value, it gets rid of the sign. So this is just no solution, no math. We see it's equal to a negative, bad, right? So we can't do it. We already have our answer. This equation has no solution. It just doesn't work. All right, so next, after that, let's start off with this one here. Remember, always get the absolute value on its own. So if we look at this one, the thing that makes the absolute value not be on its own is the 5. Do not ever multiply the 5 into the absolute value. Divide it to the other side, okay? So that means we have the absolute value of x minus 4 is equal to dividing by 5, right? So negative 50 divided by 5 is negative 10. Oh, we have it again, right? That we have a negative. So this is again no solution. Okay, we're kind of hammering it in our heads that if it equals a negative number, no solution. Let's look at the last one here. Now, notice it equals a negative. That is not a bad thing right now because we don't have the absolute value on its own. Always get it on its own before you say no solution, okay? Because sometimes it tricks you. Because we're going to add the 28 over, so we have the absolute value of 2u plus 3 is equal to, well, negative 9 plus 28 is the same thing as saying 28 minus 9, which is just 19, positive 19. So really, it's not a negative number this time. We can solve this. So remember, we write down what's inside the absolute value. We set it equal to the positive, and we set it equal to the negative of the other side, of the 19 in this case. And then you solve both versions. So on this one, we add the 3, or I'm sorry, it's a plus 3, so we subtract the 3 to the other side. We get 2u is equal to 19 minus 3 is 16. Divide by 2. So u is equal to 8. Now again on this side, we subtract 3. So 2u is equal to negative 19 minus 3 is negative 22. Divide by 2. And we get u is equal to negative 11. So our solutions so far, we have to check them, are 8 and negative 11. So go back up to the original, always go all the way back to what they gave you for the question. If we plug in 8, 2 times 8 is 16, plus 3 is 19, absolute value is 19, minus 28 is negative 9. So if we look at this one, negative 11. Negative 11 times 2 is negative 22, plus 3 is negative 19, absolute value is 19, and then it's exactly the same thing. So that is absolute value equations.